What are the two things the rich people buy, the poor and middle class don't? You see in social media like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, now YouTube. You see the flash there, mansions, expensive houses, expensive watches, cars, Ferraris, Bentleys, Teslas. They're showing all these flashy things, but what people don't realize is basically how they were able to acquire things like that to be able to actually show off in a way that inspires so much people that they will take that little bit of faith to actually start doing what they intend to do. So basically what the rich people do, basically they just don't go buy all this expensive stuff, showing you, flashing that in Instagram, LinkedIn. So what they do, basically they buy one thing first. The one thing they actually buy first is an asset. So before we get to talking about asset, we need to know what asset is. Asset is any investment someone can put in that will give him capital appreciation as well as cash flow. It's an asset that would give you money whilst you sleep. It could be probably an apartment, a house you've bought, stock, gold. It could be a business you've bought or a corporation you've invested in. So these are the assets the actual we rich people actually invest in before we actually start buying expensive cars, expensive Ferraris, because we want to make sure whatever we've bought, we're able to actually have an asset that would pay for that sort of expense. In contrast, what the poor and the middle class do, basically, they want to keep up with the Joneses. They actually invest in liabilities. They tend to invest in buying their own homes, thinking, oh, they're actually going to be rich, not knowing that it's a liability because it's not making you money whilst you sleep. So what the rich people do, they invest in assets that allow them to make money whilst they sleep instead of actually taking off their pocket. And again, that is the contrast of them, because the poor and middle class always like to show off, like to show that they've got expensive cars, expensive Ferraris, or maybe they've got an expensive house. All these things are not bringing them money, but they just want to feel rich instead of being rich themselves. I remember reading in one of Robert Kiyosaki's books, that Rich Dad Poor Dad, that says what an asset was. So I learned really lots of in-depth knowledge in that book, because it defines what asset was. And what I did, basically, just to formulate that strategy to ensure that I know what asset is and also implement it. Because what he said there, basically, an asset is anything that brings you money while you sleep. Simple as that. It could be a business, it could be a house, it could be an apartment, it could be anything that brings you residual income while you sleep. So again, the rich invest lots of money in appreciating assets, as well as assets that gives them cash flow before you see them showing all these flashy things in Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. So if you're thinking about being rich, wealthy, one thing you have to think about is your asset. Are you buying appreciating asset, or literally pouring your money in liabilities? Liabilities, it could be, as I said just now, the house you bought, an expensive car you bought that you can even afford to pay for, apart from you when you wait for your salary and then pay that off. The second thing the rich people invest in, basically, is time. Their return on time invested. So they don't just sit, waste their time doing things that don't really add value to them. So what they tend to do, basically, or what we tend to do, basically, we work out what is the return on the time invested. So we're not going to be busy doing things that don't add value. For example, maybe binge studying Netflix, watching the news, watching football all the time. Every weekend we're watching football. What we do, we literally look at the time we're investing and work out what the return we get from investing that time. And there's so many people that are really like the poor middle class. They're really struggling this, because what they do, basically, they don't look at their time. They don't value the time. People like Bill Gates, they literally work out his time. His time has been planned whole day for him. He knows exactly how long he's going to take per meeting and what he needs to do in a specific time. So what the rich people do, instead of wasting their time, they actually delegate someone to do what they don't like to do, what doesn't add value but keeps the business going. Right? They also automate. They automate things that are repetitive tasks to ensure that they're able to release that time and invest it elsewhere. And the third thing they do, basically, they actually eradicate. So what that means basically, they eradicate any task that doesn't add value. And again, I learned this from Robert Kiyosaki. I remember when I started my property investment journey, basically I used to do all the works. I used to do the cleaning, I used to do fixing the doors, repairs, I used to do viewings, I used to do all that sort of thing. Not really realizing that I'm not investing my time efficiently. So when I learned that, basically I transitioned from wanting to do everything to work on the way that I invest my time efficiently. Now I invest my time efficiently. I make sure I know what my return on time is. I'll give an example. If you sat watching Netflix, for example, maybe you're watching a series or a movie that lasts probably, let's say, for an hour, right? You may be thinking you've only lost that hour, right? Maybe let's say that hour cost about £40, or paying for that movie cost about £40 or so, right? You have not just lost that £40, but you've also lost the added value you would have done to act within that time frame as well. Say, for example, if you were to do a deal sourcing, due diligence, or you're about to secure a deal, or you're about to negotiate, you left that time and watched TV, you would have lost. Suppose that deal would have been a £5,000 deal or £10,000 deal. So you left that and watched Netflix for an hour. That £40 you would have lost on that movie. It's not just £40. You would have lost an additional £10,000 if you were to close that deal at £10,000. So you have to ensure that the time you investing is actually efficient for you and giving you return on your investment. I remember one day also visiting a friend of mine. He's very wealthy. He's a multi-millionaire. He's got businesses, restaurants and supermarkets. So I went to his property. I saw him loaning his garden. He's literally busy loaning his garden. I was literally crushed with him. I was like, why are you doing this? He's like, oh yeah, because I'm trying to save money. Then I looked at it in a different perspective. I said, how about if you could actually get someone to actually loan this garden for you? You either spend that time with your family or spend that time actually doing something that can add value to you. It could be maybe reviewing your business strategies. It could be maybe looking at how you can expand your business in another town or city, or looking at how you could diversify your portfolio, things like that. Or probably you're spending quality time with your family. It's worth more. It's better the investment than actually sitting on a garden trying to mow your garden thinking you're saving about £100 or so. So again, when I explained that to him, it's like he said, well, you know what, you're very clever. I really like the way you've seen that perspective. Since then, he's never loaned his garden. Right, I learned that myself, right? Sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, my garden may look a bit of messy sometimes, but what I do, I get someone to actually come and do it for me so I can concentrate in doing value-added tasks, because that's what gets you to the next level. So again, these are the two things the rich people buy that the poor and middle class don't buy. And again, delayed gratification is one of the things that will take you to the next level. I did not start my property investment journey. As soon as I started, maybe I bought this Tesla and all that sort of thing. So what I did basically, instead of buying a Tesla, I did not say, oh, I can afford it, or how do I cannot afford, it's too expensive. What I asked myself is, what asset do I buy, do I invest in that would allow me to get a Tesla like this, that would pay for the Tesla, instead of me pulling that money out of my pocket and actually pay for it. So again, what I did, I buy an appreciating asset, right, that generates me cash flow that allow me to buy properties like this, or to buy cars like this. And again, I sat here today driving to Birmingham, absolutely comfortable, really amazing. But what I did basically, it was a delayed gratification. I did not do when I start making money, when I rented an expensive house or bought an expensive house. So what I did basically, I stored that money, right, and I invest it, and then try to diversify my portfolio and do all that sort of thing to get me to where I am today. Now I've got this Tesla. I sat here, I'm not worried about how do I pay for the Tesla anymore, because I've created an asset that will pay for the Tesla. So again, these are the things the rich do that the poor people don't, because they always try to replicate what the successful people are doing, not trying to understand what that formula is. I really hope you've liked this video. If you like this video or any of my videos, don't forget to hit the like button below, subscribe to my channel for more of these amazing tutorials. And then guess what? I look forward to sharing the next video.